One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in its soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides onto wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. The whistles report he pays his way. Oh, legend in the making, day by day.
It is time to get it in. Let's get it in, everybody. Appreciate every single one of you guys a part of the Breakfast Club, man. Big round of applause to each and every single one of you guys. Thank you for making this shit happen, man. We got our insane coffee tumbler over here, man. We're going to have a good one. This one's going to be a very interesting one, as they all are, man. Port strike. We're going all the way down to all the ports, basically from the East Coast, from Maine, all the way down into the Gulf. It is it's hardcore right now. So we're going to be talking about this and explaining the economic downturn of something so crazy as, you know, when unions get involved in commerce, in shipping and stuff like that, that's when things are a little wild. I mean, coming from a person that worked down in the harbor himself and was a part of the IBU, Inland Boatmen's Union, which is it's the water version of the ILW. So we are the strongest union on the waterfront. And because we're backed by, we are a branch of the ILW, the International Longshoremen's Union, Warehouse Union. And the ILA is actually the ones that are dealing with this on the East Coast rather than what I was dealing with on the West Coast. Now, ILW is all the way around, but this is the ILA, I believe, or ILU, whatever. We'll figure it out. I can't remember the exact, but nonetheless, what first I want to do before we get like super deep in the weeds in this, because there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to go over here. There's a lot of economics are involved. There's a lot of trade that's involved. It's crazy. So without a doubt, make sure you guys are hitting the like button before we even get into it, man. It's the #1 metric of all of YouTube. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed down below. I noticed about 40% of the audience that watches is not even subscribed yet. You know what I mean? So, hey, make sure you guys are subscribed down below. Also, follow me on my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of the show and also my personal life and all that good shit, man. I definitely will respond to you guys if you direct message me. May take me a day or two, but hey, I will get back to you. I promise that. Also, if you'd like a shout out onto the show and would like to help out monetarily because of heavy YouTube demonetization, as always, that's just the way it works. You talk about crazy shit on the internet. They're definitely not going to be super stoked. And so hence why a lot of my videos actually get, dinged or whatever. But it doesn't hurt the channel. It just means you can't make money on that video. So I very much appreciate you guys for hitting those Cash Apps, the Venmo, the PayPal that's down below. As you guys know, the memberships to be a part of the Breakfast Club come along, man. It's only $2.99. You know what I mean? I made it as cheap as possible. Realistically, that's as cheap as I can go. If I can make it 99 cents, I would. But I very much appreciate that because it goes very, very far. It's actually something that us YouTubers can rely on way more than we can rely on, hoping for views. So anyways, with that being said, I thank you guys all for being here. I see all of you legends up in here. We got Brother Lee Lance. We got Slim up in here. Absolutely, brother Shadow. Appreciate you. Is on the same time. I can't watch BB later. Hey, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you as always, brother Shadow. Road Rage, what's up? As well as Evil, Dark Horse, brother Code. Damn, man, we got Pitbull up in here saying, remember to rev that like button and drop the clutch on the share, and we'll spin the show out of here. Hope you're all okay and having a great day. Hey, man, I very much appreciate it, and I hope you are as well. Papa Penguin, if the longshoremen are striking over automation again, they are very short-sighted. Automation is coming for every type of job like this. Better get on board or you're getting left behind. I'm gonna discuss exactly that right here, Papa. I'm going to personally give my opinions about that towards the end of, after we review some footage, after I go over some stuff, because I don't want to kind of like automatically just go into how I feel about it. I want to report it, and then we'll go into that because I definitely do have something to say about that. Because I mean, animation, we have had the automation that's happened within the industry. I mean, 10 years ago. I mean, it's actually been multiple years that this has been a thing, and it's nothing new on the West Coast. I mean, it's nothing new on the East Coast either. I think the very first fully autonomous, like its own like working entity in the Port of Long Beach was it was in the Port of Long Beach, and I'm trying to remember the name of the actual terminal. OOCL. It was OOCL, and I think they ended up paying like some sort of like $13 billion, something crazy, to be able to make it fully automated. So very, very interesting. I am not a fan of unions. Hey, listen, me neither, actually. But I was in one, and a part of the strongest union within the entire world, actually. And I was actually a shop steward as well for the union. So it was something that I'm used to dealing with the politics sides of stuff, I don't know. It's crazy. They offered a 50% raise over 5 years, and that's a lot of money. They already make more than a lot of college educated people. Now, here's also another thing. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes on shit like this. Okay. So like, for instance, something like this, it is an outrageous number. There's a lot of shit that is a reason for it. But the truth is that is not normal, by the way. Like our contracts, full transparency, our contracts would have anywhere from 2 to 4% increase per year. You know what I mean? That was our contract. And we would sign 5-year, 6-year contracts. And so that's kind of like the normal. Now, a lot of the stuff that's going on with the ILA or whatever, this shit is a little bit a different of an organization. Very similar union, but they kind of run a little different. So I'm not going to know like the inside of like their ordeal, but I definitely have more of an idea than most, I would say. Let's get a dog. Absolutely, brother Straight Jacket. Hey, big shout out to Straight Jacket for the $1 dues to the Cash App, by the way. Appreciate you, man. Let's go ahead and make sure that I'm keeping up over here. All right. So let's go ahead and real quick, I appreciate all of you guys that are in here, man. First, real quick, I just want to bring this up. This is off of QZ.com. This is Quartz. And I really quickly wanted to just go over something. The U.S. port strike is bad news for farmers, furniture stores, and just about everyone else. So the effects of 45,000 worker longshoremen strike are expected to be devastating. Absolutely, it's going to be devastating. So the one thing I wanted to get was this one bit right here. It's likely to have major consequences for the broader U.S. economy. Just about every industry relies on major ports across the East Coast and Gulf Coast to deliver shipments of equipment, food, and supplies each day. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Ports and facilities handling approximately 51% of the nation's overall port capacity are impacted by the walkouts, according to the Mitre Corporation. So it is the ILA, by the way, which is International Longshoremen's Association, just so you guys know, the port workers union over there. So now that you guys got an idea of what the hell we're talking about here, and we have a general synopsis of what's going on, we're going to go ahead and move this over to a video We're gonna go ahead and watch this. This is off of ET Transportation, or Transport rather, ET Transport. I hit that like button, YouTube. You see I'm doing it right. This came out 17 hours ago. Let's go ahead and review this together, man. This can.
I'll shut them down throughout the world to prove that we can beat them.
This administration needs to get to the table and broker a deal right now.
So we are about 24 hours away from witnessing the largest port strike that I've seen in my history. 45,000
It's happening
workers,
now.
more than 3 dozen ports across the East Coast and Gulf Coast. And negotiations look like they're still at a standstill. So I thought it would be a really good idea to try and break down what's going on, what are their demands, and what we can expect in the trucking industry as a fallout from this potential strike. So let's get into it. So I heard in detail the 17-minute interview with Harold J. Daggett. Now, who is he?
Terrible,
He is
Baba,
the president of the ILA, the International Longshoremen Association.
Now, you may have, if you guys have heard anything about these port strikes or anything like that, you guys have probably seen this guy's face in the top left. You probably saw this guy speaking. He is the president of the ILA. And so hence why, of course, anytime these guys usually talk out during something like this, they're going to get some major press. So everyone's watching it right now, especially in a super social media atmosphere. I mean, the last time we had a crazy hardcore strike was actually when Obama was in office. And Obama did come out and have a sit down, with all of us. It was crazy. It's when we shut down commerce, it's crazy. It's crazy because we actually have here's the thing. Unions don't really work in a majority of situations. But when it works on commerce, dude, I'm just saying it's very, very powerful. It's very powerful, extremely powerful. But there is, of course, complications with that because people can then sail elsewhere or sell their other shit elsewhere too. There's pros and cons to everything. But anyways.
And I've kind of taken snippets on the why the need for the strike and what is it that he's trying to achieve. So let's get into the why.
Now, Trump Reaper, I was just explaining right before this, that I used to work out at sea. I used to work out of Port of Long Beach, Port of LA, Port of Long Beach. I worked out of LA 301 for probably about 8 years. I've worked out of all those port, Pier F, Pier J, all those piers. Like I was running all sorts of shit out of there, So it's very, very something that I'm super in tune with because I was a part of the ILWU, which is, I'm the IBU side because of the boatman side, and then you have the longshoreman side. But I am still a part of the main branch, So it's very, very interesting how that works. But anyways, the little side note.
MSC is the richest shipping company in the world.
Which is true.
Made 3 times the money than Amazon. A lot of money, right? Billions. I've been fighting automation for years. They destroyed LA. They put a fully automated terminal out there. Maersk Line. 800 longshoremen lost their jobs. If it was up to them, they would like to see everybody lose their jobs. Let me tell you, it's not just in the longshore. They got ships in Europe that they're building. They got one now, runs on a battery, container ship, no crew. Somebody in an office building runs it, goes out, goes in. They don't want anybody. They don't want to pay anybody. It's not only this union, it's in every union in every aspect. If they keep putting machinery to take our jobs, who's going to pay the income tax? Machines are not. Who's going to pay for the military, the roads, everything runs by taxes. Someone has to get into Congress and say, whoa, time out. This world is going too fast for us. Machines got to stop. Yes, we're getting smart kids out of MIT and all these places. Yeah, they're all brilliant. But what good is it if you're going to put people out of work?
Yes.
Who's going to support their families? Machines? Machines don't have families.
Now, hold on real quick. Just got to be a little side note. All right. So when OOCL had one of its terminals, the very first terminal fully automated in the Port of Long Beach, I mean, yes, the upfront cost was unreal. It was like $13 billion to create. But the truth is that yes, there was a small amount of people that ended up not, you're going to lose some people. But here's the thing is the ones that actually adapt to their situations are the ones that survive. I mean, if you just go, well, okay, I'm no longer going to get paid 150 grand to drive around a UTR anymore. And I can't do that. I mean, that's what people were doing, getting paid buku bucks for the same job. Well, you got to be able to adapt in the real life, in real world. You got to be able to adapt, right? And so when things, technology changes, all of these things, you have to be able to go, okay, well, I'll adapt with that. And people that do, believe it or not, win. Those are the ones that, they're like, hey, guess what? You're not going to be driving around this UTR, but we need the guy to be able to fix the UTR when it goes down, or we need the guy to be able to drive it from the office, or be able to watch all the routes that are going on within the terminal. Like, there's all sorts of things, but people get too, I guess, focused on like the jobs that, of course, are going to be lost, because yes, it is going to be lost, but that is any business, actually, their biggest overhead is employees. I think everybody knows that. I think anybody that is in business, anybody that understands economics, anything in business, the biggest overhead is employees. So yeah, including for shipping companies like these guys. Absolutely.
Draw the line. These companies that work in the maritime business come from overseas. Not one of them belongs to America. They want to come into America and build fully automated terminals and get rid of American jobs.
Not
good
completely.
paying jobs that support families with medical, pensions, annuities, and pay taxes. They want to get rid of them. Where's the president of the United States? He's not fighting for us. He told the union, hurry up and get a contract. That's the mentality they have. They don't even know what the hell they're doing today. Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to save everybody's job when it comes to the ILA and to all the unions around the world, because we're going to fight with that alliance. I'll shut them down throughout the world to prove that we can beat them. That's why I fight. I fight.
Now that you just heard what I would say, anybody that is in the Longshoremen's Union of any type, ILWU, ILA, even the IBU, which is what I was a part of. That's how our guys sounded, like straight up. Hey, you think you can bully us around? It's like, hell no, you can't, and yeah, he goes, we'll shut you motherfuckers down just to be able to show you that we can, and it's true because they really, really can. When you mess with commerce like this to an extent where it's not even just one port, like if you do that to just the Port of Long Beach, for instance, that's huge. That's huge. I mean, that's like 30% of all of commerce that comes in through America. And then it's trucked out for the rest of the country, because you got China that is on the East Coast side, you know what I mean? Rather than anyways, the shipping routes are very complicated, and it can go, and you can put pressure in different areas, but then you lose pressure in other areas as well when it comes to shipping. It's very, very interesting, because water, it moves. You can just go where, trade is and blah, blah, blah. So it can be very complex.
I fight for jurisdiction. I fight for safety. I fight for these to be compensated with good salaries. These companies are making billions of dollars. They should take us along. We brought them to where they are. Now they want to get rid of us? That's not fair. Not fair at all. And this union's been around close to 200 years. So you can see why I'm always fighting.
So we need to understand the magnitude of this. 45,000 dock workers about to go on strike, crippling approximately 3 dozen ports across the East Coast.
Look at that. Damn. That is some serious commerce right there. That's a lot of fucking commerce. Basically from Maine all the way down the East Coast, all the way through the port, through the Gulf. And that's hardcore right there. The East Coast is rocking it right now. And the Gulf Coast.
Now, what are their demands in order to go back to work? What is it that they want? Let's hear what he has to say.
The companies got smart and said, we don't want to go through another 3 months strike. Let's negotiate in good faith. Back then, the companies didn't make the money that we make today. So we negotiated in good faith. We went with 6-year contracts. And we got $1 raise, $1.50 raise for 6 years. It was great. It was a lot of money compared to 80 cents for 3 months. But today's world, it's changing into the future. They're not making millions no more. They're making billions. And they're spending it fast as they make it. I want a piece of that for my men, because when they made their most money was during COVID. When my men had to go to work on those piers every single day, when everybody stayed home and went to work. not my men. They died out
What's
there
up,
with the
Dad?
virus. We all got sick with the virus. We kept them going from Canada to Maine to Texas, Great Lakes, Puerto Rico, now the Bahamas. Everybody went to work during COVID. Nobody stayed home. Well,
Nope, I
I want
didn't.
to be compensated for that. I'm not asking for the world. They know what I want. They know what I want. And if they don't, well, then I have to go into the street and we have to fight for what we rightfully deserve.
All right, so now we heard the why and we also heard the demands. So now let's hear from Chris Spear, the CEO of the American Trucking Association, and see what he thinks about where things are going with the strike.
Thanks for having me. I think the impact, if this strike occurs next Tuesday, is going to be significant, not just on the economy, but Americans, everybody that's in need of goods each day are going to feel the impact that this is going to have. We're talking 36 ports in the East and Gulf Coast that are represented here. 5 of the top 10 in the country are going to shut down on Tuesday. We're moving 12,000 trucks daily at Port of New York, New Jersey. This is very significant, especially on farmers. We're talking nearly half of the goods exported out of our
Absolutely,
ports come
I
from
agree,
these East Coast
Norwegian.
ports. We're talking produce, poultry, cotton. This is very significant on our farmers. That produce is going to be felt first in week 1 if this were to occur. People are going to have limited choice and they're going to pay a lot more for it. So I appreciate your paying attention to this because it's coming.
Now let's hear what he has to say about who else is going to get affected by this potential strike.
Trucks are the glue in all of this. Whether you move it on truck or rail, trucks are still going to move that last mile. And we're talking, large companies, but also the medium and small companies, independent contractors, owner operators. They're going to get hung out to dry if these ports shut. So beyond the 85,000 ILA workers, we're talking thousands of other workers that support the supply chain. It's going to take a long time after week to 2 weeks of shutdown for the economy to recover. So inflation is definitely an outcome from this.
It never really recovers, by the way. I mean, the whole ordeal when there was huge strikes going on in the Port of LA, Long Beach, when all these, we saw, I don't know if you guys saw it, all the ships that were out at anchor, they were, just lined up from dude, they were anchored from Long Beach and LA all the way down to San Diego. Like, it was fucking crazy. It took years to catch up with that shit. Years. And I don't think that you ever actually catch up with it ever. Like, my dad was, I don't know if you guys know this either, but my dad was also the harbor master of all the Port of Long Beach. So all commerce that came in and out of the Port of Long Beach was my father for 37 fucking years. 37 years at one job, one career. Wow, Wolfheim, that's absolutely right. He says coffee time. You already know the deal. Absolutely. Wolfheim, I appreciate you, man. Mega. Shout out to Wolfheim for the donation, man. Thank you, kind sir. Yeah, crazy, huh? Crazy.
Yes.
I think we all get affected by the gasoline prices. Let's hear about what he thinks is going to happen to the gasoline prices.
I think you're going to see repercussions that are going to last. So every week is about a month, 2-3 weeks, push out into a quarter to 2 quarters. You could see this spilling well into 2025.
45,000 workers from 3 dozen ports are striking. So this is the impact. Ports handling 43% of all U.S. imports, which actually the latest update on all of that is actually 51%. 51%, not quite 43. It's actually 51. And this could cost about $5 billion a day. Yep. Sounds about right.
Having real repercussions. If the longer it plays out, the more impact you're going to have. So 36 ports, East Coast, Gulf Coast.
36
This is
ports.
very significant to the American economy. You can't reroute all this through the West Coast. So shutting down for terms and conditions that are completely out of reach, 70% pay increase, that's what the ILA is asking for. I think you and I would love a 70% pay increase, but that's not reality. So they need to come to the table. They need to get reasonable, and they need to get a deal.
Now, does he think that the Biden-Harris administration is going to get involved? Let's hear what he has to say.
If they're consistent, they're not going to come to the table. They haven't yet, and we're 5 days out. So this is really significant in terms of leadership We've got a president, vice president, and an acting secretary of labor that have walked a picket line for the UAW. They are already in the pocket of big union bosses, and they've stated that. So if you're USMX representing the 36 ports, you have no incentive to come to the table if it's led by this administration, because they've already shown their cards. They're already in the pocket of labor. So there's no way that you can mediate with credibility.
That's no kidding.
That's not leadership. We need it. We need it now.
And now the million-dollar question. What does he think is going to happen to the economic situation because of the strike?
Well, I think week over week is how you measure this.
You know, that's a very interesting question, Wolfine, because I'm kind of in a unique situation where I understand that it's much further negotiations than just what is surface here. Kind of like what this guy is saying, like they just need to be fair. Well, we kind of say that back to the companies as well. Like, you guys got to be fair. You guys made X amount of dollars. You know, I mean, granted, yes, the shipping companies don't make a killing. I mean, you got to remember the logistics behind shipping. I mean, I used to fill up these ships for cargo fuel. They're bunkers, you know what I mean? And this would be hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of fuel just to get from one side of the ocean to the other. And so when you think that there's, and then you have all the overhead of the employees, the amount of people, the actual crew on ships, I mean, the stores, everything that goes wrong when you're out at sea happens nonstop. I mean, dude, there is so much money that goes involved in like shipping and the ports and shit. It's just so much more complex than just saying, well, they just need to get to the table and bargain in good faith. And I agree that both sides need to be able to do that. But you can't just say that to the employee. You can't just say that to the union worker. We got to also address the company as well. But vice versa, you know, if there's unfair, too much, you know, like striking and unfaith, you know, where they're not bargaining in good faith on the union side, of course, we got to call that shit out right away, because there's no way we're going to stand for that. I guarantee you, if the company went up and said, hey, well, let's discuss, let's talk it out. Then all of a sudden, all right, you know, strikes are put on pause. We'll figure it out. You know, we'll do this month by month or whatever the case is until the contract's signed. But strikes don't like this happen unless the company said, nah, fuck you, figure it out. You know what I mean? And that does happen. It happens a lot. Anyways, let's go ahead and finish this.
Yes, I was involved in the Taft-Hartley in 2002 when the West Coast port shut down for nearly 2 weeks. And we measured in advance the impact that shutdown was going to have week over week. So when I say a week equals a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks equal a quarter, you could see this spill well into 2025. The ramifications, not just to the supply chain, including trucking, but the entire economy. Choice will be limited and prices are going to be higher.
Of course they're going to bring in scabs. What do you expect? That's what they're of course going to do. But of course the strikes that are going to be going on down there, trust me, with that amount of people, it can, you know, stuff like that can get very violent. You know, I'm not condoning that, but it very much can. I've actually witnessed that. And it may not happen on the line. It may happen when you go back to your hotel, wherever you got flown in, you know, from blah, blah, blah. It's like shit like that, bro. Like being a scab is a terrible, terrible thing. You know, it really fucks up a lot of shit, you know, for sure.
That's not good news going into an election, going into the holidays. This administration needs to get to the table and broker a deal right now.
All right, so my personal thought. So I actually think that the CEO of the American Trucking Association actually held back about the effects that are going to happen in the trucking industry and what's going to happen when the strike actually goes into effect. Now, I heard that some ports, I believe it's 5 ports that are going to start as of tomorrow, which is less than 24 hours. And again,
correct.
I don't think
which I've already seen in the actual news this morning. So far, 2 different ports. That's what I've seen so far that are completely like, yep, we're striking, we're done. That's as far as I've seen. Now it's going to, obviously, I mean, we're on the 1st right now, and this is when like the time was up kind of ordeal. So expect to see more of them, you know, getting ready to strike.
We're going to feel it right away from the first second. But I think as time goes by, meaning more and more days go by,
absolutely, Papa Penguin,
on our entire industry. Let's not forget that there's tens of thousands of workers right now that are doing drayage and deliveries for these ports. Now, if they don't have a job, guess what? They're going to be spilling over the van, reefer, and flatbed division, and they're going to be taking a lot of the work from the long haul drivers because they're going to need to do something in order to keep themselves busy. So you can definitely expect freight rates to drop significantly.
Oh yeah, big time.
Once this thing happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully somebody's going to help broker out a deal, and we can all move on with our life.
Gunpowder Nitro.
Now you know the why. You also know the demands, and you also know the feedback of the American Trucking Association CEO. But I'd really love to hear, what are your thoughts about the situation? Let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear your comments below. I'm Ronan, and I'll
Absolutely. I think that was actually well done by him, the way he put that, and it was consolidated very nicely for all of us to go ahead and review together. Yeah, this is of course going to affect, it's like a domino effect. It really is. You know, when one goes down, it's just one after another like issue. It goes all the way down to basically all of our commerce. I mean, America doesn't really export anything anymore. I think the only thing that we export is wine and steel chips or something like that, like something that we're like super into. I don't even think that I think maybe concrete. I can't remember, but we don't really export a lot. We import like fucking everything into this country. You know what I mean? So if this very much can affect everyone, including those now here's the saddest part is it goes down to those small mom and pop business owners who want and need their items to be able to sell their shit, and they can't get their commerce, and then they have to go fucking belly up and file bankruptcy and lose their fucking business because they can't get their fucking goods. You know what I mean? And so people don't understand like how in depth this goes. Like this is a very hardcore thing to deal with. And it's not as easy as like that guy on Fox News made it like kind of sound. Aren't a lot of truckers bikers and vice versa? Yes, that is kind of a wide thing within. I don't give a fuck who thinks I should have or shouldn't have. The way I see it is I had no choice at the time. Oh, I see what you're getting at. Brother Danny, hey, man, appreciate you for being here. Have a great day in class, man. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by. Just like most things in life, they need to compromise, but that seems to be a lost art these days. It is a lost art these days. A lot of people are just convicted and they're not going to change their mind on what they're going to, what they're standing for, right? Like you could show them all the correct answers, the facts of everything. They're like, no, it's unfortunate. It is a lost art for sure. But man, I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out with me this morning and discussing something so, actually close to me and my heart. This is not a super easy thing to deal with. Like I've explained this whole time, it's not, this is not some people can easily say, well, they just need to do that. They just need to do that. There's so much that is involved in this, and it's got to be handled with care for damn sure. Otherwise, it's going to affect businesses. It's going to affect all of you guys. It's going to affect me. It's going to affect everyone. Get ready for prices to go up, though, for damn sure on basically everything. Union workers have great benefits, but there's also a lot of shitty stuff that within the union workers, like getting rid of lazy workers. Today's young workers are the laziest, mouthiest, and privileged fucks. Absolutely, I got to agree with that. The one thing that is hard is, you're going to have great benefits and stuff like that as a union worker. At least I did. But I had to make a certain amount, like I was on a month-by-month basis, actually. I had to work a certain amount I had to work a bare minimum of 180 hours per month in order to qualify for the next month of my benefits. So here's the thing. A lot of these jobs that are unionized are borrowed jobs. Like these are things that, hey, you're making great money while you're making that money, but you can easily be politicked out of a situation. You could easily, there's all sorts of shit, or for instance, these strikes. There's a lot of guys in the unions that don't want to strike right now. They would rather work right now, but they can't, so it gets very dicey. What I was saying, Mike, is I was a scab when steelworkers strike a few years back. I did what I had to do. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's got to do what they got to do. Absolutely. You know, I don't put that down at all. I used to live in San Francisco. What will happen if all the West Coast port workers strike? It'll essentially be the exact same shit. You got to remember that from the West Coast, you know, basically San Francisco, Port of Long Beach, all that shit, we're gaining all of our imports from China right there. And so you're not getting that from the East Coast. You're getting European trade, you're getting that kind of Middle East trade, but you're not getting Chinese trade. And Chinese trade is from the West Coast. And so you would actually see a little bit more of a problem if it was a West Coast issue. It always has been that way. Hence why they're probably shutting down all the West or the East Coast to kind of compensate for that. That is why Trump wants manufacturing here in the US. I agree. I mean, it should be our people making it and making the money themselves anyways. I mean, it's the way it should be. Great to deal with real stuff, Mike. Hey, that's what we do over here, man. We discuss whether it be good, great, terrible. Doesn't matter, man. That we discuss what's important and what is going to affect you guys. But yeah, absolutely. Let's see. That's why it's hard to manufacture in the U.S. The workers are lazy and want high wage for a low work return. Yeah, that too. Absolutely. And it's too damn expensive for these companies to essentially pay for shitty labor and to be overly taxed. And when they could be like Mexico and not be getting taxed at all, you know what I mean? And so like companies go, well, we're not bound to only you guys here in the United States. We're a worldwide company, you know? What's up, Brother Slim? Good to, I'm glad to see that you're here, man. Rebecca, good to see you as well. Gonna sound stupid, but is money the only reason America doesn't produce their own goods? I would say money and work ethic. Ethic and money. And actually, I left out the most important thing is bureaucracy. That's the actual word. That's the actual word. Ton of bureaucracy that fucks it all up for these companies. And then they end up moving because they say, we don't have to be here. We can go elsewhere and make way more money, way more profit, way more margins. Why wouldn't they do it, right? Anyways, much love, honor, respect to everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for liking the video, being the #1 metric of all of YouTube. It very much helps the show out. Also, when you guys hit that sub button, it helps me out way more than you know. It also is absolutely free to do so. And holy shit, hold on, we got it right up here. Damn, we got Hardwire, the man, the myth, the legend in the chat that sent in a 5 spot on the Cash App, man. Thank you. I very much appreciate that, man. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It shit like this, it adds up very, very quick. People don't, they may hate on that kind of shit, but I'm not me. I'm fucking like, hey, man, that shit adds up so fucking fast. It's unreal. It's because of you guys that I'm able to do what I'm able to do. So thank you guys for your love, your support, being here. Just being here is enough, So with that being said, everybody, I hope that you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon. And also, we're going to be live streaming tonight. We're going to be doing the live coverage of the debate. Okay, guys, the vice president debate tonight. I will be doing live coverage of that tonight. So that's going to be a good ass time. Look out for that on the Insane Wheels YouTube channel. You guys will see it announced here in a couple of hours, I'm sure. And until then, we'll see you guys tonight. Much love.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a